Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon Wound, pick up.
Jumping the gun, Jared. There he is. All right.
That's me.
Hey, this is Todd Novak. We are super thrilled that you are listening to our show, the Guitar Knobs podcast. Tony, what do we do here?
We like to talk about gear and the builders of said gear.
Yes.
Including boutique builders. Not builders of boutiques where you would buy things, but boutique builders.
Almost exclusively.
Right. Almost exclusively.
You might say we are the
champion of the little guy.
Yeah.
We're in a sea of Goliaths. We're looking for the Davies.
But okay. Hey, Davey.
Tell me about the rabbits. That's what we do. So we talk to people.
Yeah.
We talk to...
We get their backstory.
We get their backstory. We like to find out what
comprises the fingerprint they are laying upon the guitar world.
I was going to say DNA, but...
Yeah, that's a little weirder. Yeah. Hey, so we have somebody on the line that fits this bill. Who are you, buddy?
I am AWOL from AWOL Pedals.
How you doing?
Pretty good. It's Nashville's crazy hot right now, and I wore all black in a horrible decision this morning. But,
you know, if it makes you feel any better, all three of us here are wearing black.
Hey, that's the best. You know,
it's very slimming.
It's an interesting thing because I'm going to share something that a friend of mine said a long time ago. I used to live down in Huntington Beach, and we were at the crosswalk at the pier on Main Street, and we're just sitting there at the stoplight, and we saw these people. You know, we see all the people going to the beach wearing beach gear, and then we saw some people that were like kind of gothy, and they were like still going like, yeah, but we're goth and we're going to the beach. And he said something that was one of the wisest things I've ever heard in my whole life. He just shook his head and he goes, can't take your scene to the beach, man. And I was like, damn, wow, that is amazing. I've never forgot that. That was a long time ago. So it's kind of funny because, you know, all the rock and roll is moving down to Nashville. And what do rock and roll wear? Black. Skinny black jeans, skinny black t-shirts, skinny black. So when summer hits in Nashville, it's hot.
Oh yeah,
hot. So it's gonna be like, well, what is that gonna look like? Anyway,
gonna be a lot of wet,
skinny
sweaty
black shorts.
Oh my goodness,
Skinny black tank tops. Ooh. All right, enough of that. So hey, we've got somebody online. We already mentioned who he is. That is AWOL, Aaron Wahl. And we're glad to have him on the line.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm glad we got it to work out.
Indeed. It almost didn't happen. We weren't going to let that happen.
Never.
Right.
We never are okay with almost. That's going to be our tagline. All right. So
you can't take us to the beach.
No. We got a couple of announcements real quick, and then we're going to get into finding out all about his pedals, and he makes some pretty unique stuff. While you are listening to the smooth sounds of our announcements and everything, if you are able to get to a phone or some sort of electronic device and check out his pedals, awolpedals.com, then you can see what it is he does. And you will have probably said, wait a minute, I've seen those before on Instagram and stuff, and that's because you have. So let's see how I confirm. That was great. Announcements real quick. We need to give a great, ginormous shout out to Rode microphones.
Yay, Rode!
Who have supplied us with our awesome audio gear, our Tony's favorite thing in the world, our articulated arms.
I love the articulating arms. I'm using them right now.
By which the
perfect. You
microphones hang.
I love it.
And our new unit, our baby. We haven't named it yet. We need to name this.
Rodecaster Pro, baby.
That's just the name of the thing, but we haven't personalized it. That's like naming.
The recorder thingy, McDickle.
Yes, it's the Rodecaster Pro, and we are super excited about this. It is helping our efforts out tremendously. We want to give a huge thank you to Rode for really being such a great support to us for a couple years now, and specifically a giant shout out to both the Nicks at Rode. So moving on from there, we have a couple of contest announcements that we're going to put up. They're not live yet. Maybe they will be very shortly after this. And I better go to Jared before he eats the microphone.
He's going to eat it.
So I have a set of Brandon wound pickups to give away to our patrons. We're going to hold this off for a few weeks, so if anyone out there was thinking about maybe becoming a patron, why don't you do so? So you can possibly win some really cool pickups. These are 1959 clones, as I said, and they are black, open humbuckers. They are new condition, of course, and they look like the original old PAF from back in the late 50s, early 60s.
It's your bread and butter pickup
Yeah,
there.
it pretty much is. Yeah, you'd put them in your Les Paul SG or S335 or what have you, or even in a Stratocaster if you want to put them in there. But
Don't do that.
usually people don't. But anyway, if you're a patron or you want to be a patron, let's get it going because I'm about to hand some pickups out to somebody.
These are amazing sounding hand.
I'll go you one better.
Okay.
If you're going to put those, if whoever wins those pickups, if they need a pick guard, I'm giving them a pick guard.
Holy mackerel. That's going to be awesome. All right, so we will announce that on Patreon to our patrons. We will send them a message. So if you have been on the fence about joining Patreon, this is a really good reason to do it.
Do it.
We've got to discuss a few other things, like what happened in our music world this week. Gentlemen, I'm going to start with Aaron since he's just been listening to us blab it blue. Aaron, go ahead. Tell us what happened in your guitar world this week.
Basically, I've just been kind of playing my Mustang that I had custom built with Eastside Music Supply here in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
And humbucker single. So it's set up like a Super Strat. Mm-hmm. But so I've just been playing that, oddly enough, directly into an amp, just into a like 75 Vibrochamp. And I've just been like playing around with the vibrato on the amp, like not using a tremolo pedal or anything, just kind of.
I like that.
That's tasty.
That's old school.
Just trying to experiencing that old school like amp. This is how the original owner of this amp probably played it,
Yeah. That's really cool. We had a great time at Eastside Music Supply last summer. Great little shop down there.
What year is your Vibrochamp?
My Vibrochamp is a 75.
75. Yep. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's silver face.
Yes.
Nice. That sounds pretty fun. Tony Baloney, how about yourself?
Well, just in the mail yesterday, I got my shipment of I got 100 Russian. Well, they're technically paper and oil caps.
Yes.
These are like from the 1970s or 1980s, I think they are.
Wow.
And they came from all the way from the Ukraine.
Wow, that's really cool.
So Russian old stock stuff. So
to be used in.
Well, these are for guitars. I mean, I use them in guitars all the time. Yeah, that's for a tone cap.
Yep. Okay.
But what's really cool about them is they are so. A true paper and oil cap has a sheet of foil wrapped around a sheet of paper, which has been soaked in oil. Mm-hmm. This particular manufacturer did a foil with wax paper, which technically paraffin is an oil. So it's a true paper and oil, but it's a lot cheaper to do these, and
right. Probably a little bit more stable, I would imagine.
I wouldn't count on that.
Okay,
I think
it's probably a less stable.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
Exactly, like you said. So I got 100 of these.
Right.
I got 100 of these.
Of the time.
100 of these caps for $35 plus I think like $7 or $8 for shipping from the Ukraine.
So are you going to use them on customers' guitars?
I mean, I just keep them on hand because I use them in all of mine, and then I can
use make 100 new guitars.
Well, if it has two controls,
that's cool.
You never know.
Yeah,
one never knows. But anyhow, so I've got a pair of them right here. I'm gonna let Jared's gonna take these home with him. He can play around with them.
That's cool.
But they're 0.022s, so they're kind of like the same value as Bumblebees.
Yeah.
And these, I think, are rated at 200 volts.
And they're kind of big. They're cool looking.
Well, these are relatively small compared to like true Bumblebees.
They're relatively small.
As you said.
Yes.
So anyhow, I've got those, and I put them in a guitar today. And they actually sound pretty good.
That's rad.
So there you go.
Very cool.
Yay.
All right. Jared, what happened this week?
We saw our friend Drew Poppy a week ago or so, and I obtained his Fopstar Royal preamp.
That thing is awesome.
Pedal.
It's so cool.
And today, I mean, I feel bad because today is actually the first time I got it out of the box and plugged it in.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so glad I did. It will be replacing my TS9. There was
probably a couple other pedals, to be honest.
possibly, but there was no thinking about it. It's like TS9 gone. That one is taken.
And to be clear, it's not an overdrive.
No,
and it's not really a power or gain thing. It's just something else altogether.
It's got one knob, and that's all it needs. It's like it doesn't need that tone shaper thing or whatever like the TS9 has. It's absolutely perfect where it's set at, and you know the TS9 that it just I don't like how it cuts the lows out. You know what I mean? How it's not boomy.
Yeah,
it loses that, but this preamp is it.
I feel like it makes me sound like I'm playing out of two different amps. There's a certain something that it brings that it's like I have my standard tone, and then there's like this other like tone that's coming to the party that it really does.
Otherworldly tone.
Yeah,
I think that's just because of the way your stuff is set up, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
but for me, it's more of a true. I don't want to say overdrive, but it's just a true. It's I don't know. It's hard for me to explain.
yeah. That's the only way that I've been able to explain that pedal.
It makes you sound more foppy.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I love that pedal, man. Great job.
Thanks. So if you're interested in one of those, contact Fopstar Amps, and he makes really.
He's
nice
on the
amps, too.
he's on the road a lot.
He is on the road because he's a professional guitar tech.
Yes,
but
he is.
He still makes stuff and sells it, and it's really good quality.
Yeah.
All right. For me, speaking of good quality,
Yeah, what do you do?
I was practicing, and all of a sudden, my all my sound cut out, and I said, "What's going on?" And I realized that I had a bum patch cable. Now, that really hasn't happened to me too much before, and this one is in a very strange. It's not a standard pedal directly next to each other. It's a weird hookup. So I was stressing the cable. I realized that, but it was kind of a crap cable to begin with. Stupid cable. Anyways, so I realized, you know what? I'm not going to be able to use a pancake jack because it's going to get in the way. It's because part of it is going to my Tapestry volume. So those are top mounted, and it's not going to work. So I said, wait a minute. I've got the perfect solution, and I went to my bag. I have a little bit of, just a little bit left of my Three Monkeys solderless kit. And
You can't say solderless, can you?
I can't.
Say it. Say it
Three
for it.
Monkeys solderless.
Solderless. Forget the L. Forget the L.
Hard L, yeah.
Just pretend the L's not there. Solderless.
Solderless. It's hard.
There's
I've
the
never been
outtake.
forced to do that. Anyways,
Solder.
yeah. So I broke that out and I fixed it in a jiffy, and I was super stoked. So I got to get another bag of tricks from those guys.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out their stuff, they have. I mean, I've tried a handful of solderless kits, and in fact, the reason that I went back to my Three Monkeys is I got a free kit at NAMM that completely, utterly did not work at all. Like not even a little bit. And so I said, what am I going to do? And that's when I remembered, I got one that actually works. So
Good.
yeah. So thanks to Three Monkeys for making a really great product. Anyways, all right, let's get on to some.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
Aaron, AWOL pedals, why don't you give us your 4 on the floor?
So I'd probably start with some sort of compressor, something a little more subtle, not as squishy. So I'd probably do like an old school orange squeezer compressor, or I guess like the modern version of that would be the JHS Pulp and Peel.
Okay.
So I'd probably start with that, just because I like the sustain that compression brings to like a guitar signal, but I don't necessarily like how much it can change the tonal quality, especially when you're using a lot of compression and kind of like more like a Dynacomp, it's a little more of that's like more of a chicken picking kind of compression sound. And I like a little more of like a smoother, just barely there, always on type of compressor.
As far as compressor pedals go, people either are like, I'm a compressor pedal person, or they're totally not a compressor pedal person.
Solderless compressor person. Floppy.
Where do you fall in that mix?
I like compressors now. I would probably have considered myself the opposite before, and just because like I didn't really understand them or get them, but like as I dove into it more, I like compressors. I like hearing the nuances of each one, and it's also made me a lot pickier about which compressor I use and what I end up with, because they're definitely polarizing. Like I'd agree with you there.
Well, I think as we've said on the show before, that a lot of times when a compressor is working right, you don't know it's there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not so obvious that, I'm compressing my sound.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that, or at least that's the pleasant way I like to hear it.
Instead of, it's just smooshing my sound. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I think it just kind of crushes like the signal sometimes, to where it's like your notes just sound so like chalky almost. They're just so like the life's been squeezed out of the note, and all you have is like pitch. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like this dry sound.
Yeah. I can relate to that. I don't like chalky.
No.
Nah.
We can dig that. All right. What do you have for number 2?
I'd probably go with a Marshall Bluesbreaker overdrive pedal.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because when it comes to overdrive, I like this sort of dance that happens between like a tube amp on the verge of breaking up and subtly breaking up, and like a soft clipping overdrive that kind of just pushes it to the next level. I like them kind of be working together rather than, like 70-30 overdrive amp or vice versa.
You should do wine reviews.
It had oaky overtones.
Yeah, all right. Look at that subtle dance. Yeah.
I'm getting notes of blues.
Yes. All right. How about number 3?
So I'm obsessed with the EHX Canyon delay. I think it's like $140 new or something like that. It's around that price range, but cheap. It's a digital pedal, but it has like every delay sound that basically I've ever wanted, and they're all really good. Like the tape sound is really impressive and really convincing. It's not necessarily like that El Capistan where it's like got all the kind of high fidelity of it, but its tape sound is great. It has a deluxe Memory Man emulating sound that sounds really good. It has octave delay. It has a reverb built in. I want to build a delay really badly, and this pedal exists, so I probably won't, because I can't compete with it at all. And it's beautiful.
Plus, it's hard to squeeze into one of those little boxes.
Right.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And that is it's kind of weird because they did put that in a smaller box, which
compared to
a lot of their other boxes,
yeah,
which have less things on them. So it's kind of odd, kind of an odd choice. Interesting. Okay, excellent. And numero 4.
I'm just gonna go with a classic Boss RV5 reverb pedal. I have one right now, and I think it's my 3rd one I've owned, and I just keep coming back to it. And I think it's because of the ease of use and like the functionality. Like I know how to set the knobs to get a good sound when I'm on the modulate setting, which is kind of everyone's favorite, it seems. And then I really like the room sound on it. It's just very minimal, but still pretty high fidelity. And it just, I don't use a lot of reverb typically. I use like a medium to low amount, and it does that job perfectly.
Now, why is that your 3rd?
I just keep like getting them and then trading them for other things. I had a Strymon Blue Sky for a while. I'm always swapping out different pedals, and pedals hold their value usually pretty well if you take care of them. So it's just fun to trade and try different things.
Yeah, I can totally understand that.
No, Todd, no, you know nothing of that. Except your pedals don't hold their value.
Yeah. No, they do. Come on. Why are you so mean to me? All right. That's good 4 on the floor.
Solid.
Yeah, very solid.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We're going to get into Mr. Wahl, aka AWOL. We're going to get into his story about his little pedals. And I do mean, and I'm not saying that in a diminutive way, like, oh, and you got little pedals. They are actually really tiny, and that's kind of his jam. So we're going to find out more about that. Another reminder, if you are able to, go check out AWOL Pedals on Instagram and or on the web, and you can watch along while you listen or something. And let's get into this. All right?
Cool.
Excellent. So I got a hold of you because I keep seeing these little pedals, and I keep hearing from people in the pedal community reference AWOL. And so naturally, I said, well, let's find out a little bit more about this. And, you don't have a colossal library of pedals, but you're doing something unique enough to garner people's attention. And I think that is worth talking about. So I guess just a quick background. Where did you start off in the guitar world, or your guitar interest? Where did that stem from?
Okay, so I probably, oddly enough, I'll probably offend some people with this, but I didn't like guitar at all, like growing up for the longest time. And then around 13 or 14, as like, I think a lot of people, a lot of boys, especially in that age, they just kind of realize it's like, oh, I'm an awkward middle schooler. I need girls to like me. I better learn an instrument, and I guess I learned guitar, and from there, I fell in love with the electric guitar and all these different like sounds, because to me, that was the interesting part. Is it sounds so different depending on what you plug it into and your playing style and what strings you use and what pedals you use. And that was like immediately apparent to me. So yeah, in high school, I basically kind of fell in love with the guitar. And from there, I was just kind of tampering with different sounds and had started to build not full circuits yet, but things like tap tempo pedals, AB switches, bypass loopers, kind of auxiliary and utility boxes.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the sounds that you initially locked onto, like that got you into like, wait, what's this rock and roll stuff? Well,
I love like tube amps and kind of like old ZZ Top and stuff like that. And just, and at the time I had a solid state, I think Behringer distortion or something like that. And I remember clearly trying to like emulate these different sounds, and I couldn't. I was like, this isn't quite cutting it. It's like not quite there. And I would almost drive myself crazy trying to emulate sounds of like bands like Switchfoot and stuff that were popular at that time, and Muse and people like that. And I was just like, okay, I need way more pedals to make the sounds that they're making, because they have fuzz pedals and, they have circuits built into their guitars and stuff like that. So the music I was starting to listen to regularly almost immediately became my inspiration for what I wanted to play on the guitar or what I wanted to attempt to emulate.
Sure. As it goes. And what kind of guitar were you doing this on?
So my first guitar was a made in Mexico Fender Strat. I think it was like 2004. I still have it.
Todd's favorite.
Oh, they're great. They're great guitars. Honestly, like I've had American Strats I didn't like as much. But
yeah, he wasn't knocking the Mexican Strat, as I'm personally not a Strat guy.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But
he's not man enough to handle a Strat.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird how that can happen, right? Like you can find a guitar that just like speaks to you and it just sounds great.
Well, the Mexican Stratocasters are the Mexican line anyway. I don't know what they do, but they make a great neck profile that I personally like. So I never snub my nose at any Mexican made Fender.
See, you know when you take two magnets and you put them together, and sometimes they stick, and sometimes the other magnet goes flying.
Yeah,
that's what a Stratocaster's like.
Polarity thing.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Just wants to fly off of my body. Anyways, so you got your Mexican Strat. You're listening to Muse and ZZ Top and all kinds of cool stuff, and you start playing, and at some point you say, I should make some pedals. How do we get there?
Yeah. So basically I had kind of made some small auxiliary boxes, like I was saying, and I really didn't visit it again until I probably took a little bit of a break between like 16 and 18. So when I was 18 or 19, I kind of got back into it and was like, okay, I think I can figure this out. And I was finding people can just post like schematics and like different building tips and stuff on forums and online, and like if you look up Tube Screamer schematic, you'll just find it. It's just there, right. So the internet was kind of reaching maturity at that point, and I was kind of like, you can just look these up. It will give you the literal map and recipe for how to build some of these things, and then from there you can, like Legos, take out what you don't want and change different things and switch capacitors, switch resistors, and route things differently. And you could quite literally just play with it right in front of you. Yeah,
there's one, I'm trying to remember the actual account name, but they post it up on Instagram usually about like at least once every week, once every couple of weeks, and it's 4 different layouts for the same effect. And so you can just take that and go. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll try to remember. I don't know what I'll do with that. Just go find it yourself. Anyways, I'm sorry, that's terrible hosting, but I can't possibly fulfill that. So, anyways, so you started down that path. Now, obviously, there are loads and loads of pedals out there, and I think it's always interesting to find where builders just kind of find that little path of their own. How did you start to kind of fashion what you wanted to do and differentiate yourself?
That's a great question. So I was building clones and stuff for people in college and helping people like kind of just like with their tone and like being like, hey, have you tried this pedal? Because at that point I had been trying a bunch of different circuits and starting to expand my knowledge of gear. And at some point when I decided I just wanted to do my own thing and keep doing the pedals and like brand myself, I was really into the like small pedal thing, and people seem to put a high value on pedal board real estate. And that trend has kind of increased over time. And so it became like readily apparent that people like small pedals, and the industry is kind of headed that way a little bit. I think just today I saw the mini carbon copy that MXR put out. Mm-hmm. And so it's the big companies are doing it too. And so for me, I wanted to do something like that. And I had a boost circuit that I really enjoyed. That was just a simple transistor, single transistor boost circuit that I liked. And I wanted to put it in one of these like square enclosures that most people use for like tap tempos and other things like that. And it was kind of almost a challenge from some of my colleagues and myself to like see if I could fit the circuit in there. And upon designing it, it was like obvious that there's nowhere I can put the knob on the front of it where, even me with like, I wear a size 9, I'm still going to step on it, So I was like, it can't go anywhere on the face of it. So I put the knob on the north side of the enclosure. And it seemed like the only option there, or like one of the other sides, because the pedal is 2 inches by 2 inches, and it's the knobs are going to be stepped on otherwise. So I kind of tried to design a small pedal from the ground up, from like what made sense from a design standpoint, rather than like take a pedal and shrink it down to be a small pedal, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting. And when you did that, what was the initial response?
I think people people seem pretty stoked on it. They were, I think, maybe a little apprehensive on like the way it looks, or like, because it doesn't look like a traditional pedal. Obviously, it's just kind of designed differently, and I think it's catching on a little bit more now, and people are kind of warming up to it a bit more, just because before it was like, it's like a walkie-talkie looking, pedal, and now it's just like, oh, it's a cool small pedal that fits that space on my pedal board that I can't figure out what to put there, because I've room for one more, and I don't want to put an Altoids tin on there, and
right.
So that's kind of where I've fallen, or I've seemed to have fallen in terms of the industry. Interesting.
Now, the choice for that knob, I'm trying to remember. I think is it hot? It's not Hot Tone. There's another pedal company that puts out. It's an import company, and it's got like a speed knob on the back, like a traditional like Gibson speed knob, but it also has the bar. So it's like there's just too much going on with it, and I always was thrown off. I'm like, that knob is like ginormous. Like, what's the purpose of that? How would I even use that? Yours seem a little bit more functionally adaptable to a normal pedal use. So I think that was something that, when I started looking at these, I was like, these are small, but they're not alien small.
Right.
They're still very, very usable. And your choices for, let's talk about the pedals that you actually have right now. You want to go through those real quick?
Yeah, sure. So the pedals I have in my line right now are two of that small one knob form factor. One is a boost pedal called the Nano Boost. Is like the one I released originally, and the second one is called the Virus, and that is a fuzz pedal, and it's just a Darlington transistor based fuzz. So think a little bit like a fuzz face, like a blue fuzz face.
Okay,
but that one, it ended up a little gainier and a little more glitchy. It's kind of in between like a vintage fuzz and like a modern synthy sounding fuzz.
Interesting.
I call it my dad rock pedal, because it definitely does that kind of sound, like the chunky bar chords and stuff.
Sure.
So I have that, and then I also have a no switch, no knob pedal that is just a buffer. It's similar to the buffer that's in the Klon Overdrive. And that is basically just me continuing my passion for like these small utility boxes and stuff like that. And so I have friends around Nashville that use them for like long cable runs, or use them from, say they're tracking drums upstairs or something, and they need they need something to boost a line signal or something like that, So they're just kind of a nice utility pedal, and you can kind of run one on your board if you're running a lot of true bypass pedals and losing a lot of signal and gaining a lot of capacitance. You can kind of throw a buffer in there to clean it up a bit.
That's a good idea. And it does take I think this is a good solution for the buffer problem, because utility pedals are interesting. They're obviously very helpful in most cases, but as soon as they go into anywhere near a normal pedal size, you're like, or I could just buy another actual pedal. That's like a mental thing I can never get past. But I think people are getting really creative with the way that they're putting those out there. Have you ever had anybody like actually just kind of go either like stick it straight on the guitar?
I had a couple people request like that I build them a Nano without a foot switch, just with the knob, so that they could do that. I've had a few requests for that type of situation. I haven't done that, but the circuit itself is like quite small. It's like, about the size of my thumb or smaller. So it's like, to them, I've offered them like, you can just take the circuit and wire it with a 9-volt in your guitar, and all you need is a linear 1M pot to run it. For the Nano Boost at least. But yeah, I've actually thought about doing like different modules and stuff. And I know JHS did like a guitar module type of situation a few months back.
Right. Yeah, it seems kind of prime for something along those lines. If you have, if you want to start messing around with like onboard stuff, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I know you also do a lot of mods, and I think maybe this is a weird thing to kind of get like at least semi-internet famous for, but you did the DL4 enclosure paint jobs, famously in pink, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What was the genesis behind that?
So basically, I realized that once you disassemble the DL4, obviously it's just a big chunk of metal. It almost looks like a valve cover for a car. You know, it's this big spaceship looking thing, and it's just a chunk of aluminum. So you can either sandblast it or chemically strip the paint that's on it. And I do all my own powder coating at home for like my enclosures and my pedals. So I was like, oh, I think I can just strip this and powder coat it. So, and I tried that on a few and got some good results. And that soft pink, that kind of like almost like a ballet slipper pink, came about because I was doing some hardware for a friend for a bass. He was building like a white and pink bass and wanted me to do some hardware. He's like, can you powder coat hardware? I was like, yeah, I think so. As long as like I steer clear of the moving parts and whatnot. And so I told him, I was like, yeah, I can do that. And the color turned out great. I was really happy with the job that was done on that. And he loved it. And I was like, cool. People seem to like this color. So I kept posting it more, then got a request to do a DL4 in it. And then after posting that, I got like 6 more in that month of the same color DL4. And so that's definitely the most popular color I've done with that pedal.
And that turned into, I think you did some actual pedal train boards.
Yes.
You get going on one thing and then it just goes sideways and you're like, well, I guess I'm doing this now.
Man, that is my life in a nutshell. It seems. I love the powder coating and I love the way like refinished and customized things look. And I'm a little surprised more people hadn't tapped into it because I think it's just kind of fun, you know, like people having pink boards or white boards because people like to color coordinate so much on like Instagram and Facebook. So they'll post a picture of like a monochrome board that's all black and white pedals or a red board that's all red pedals. So powder coating pedal boards seemed like the next step naturally, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. And it like blew up. I remember I was like, why am I seeing all these? What's going on? Your powder coating. Oh, what's wrong with my mouth? You are powder coating at home. That does not seem like when you said that, Tony and I both looked up and were like, "Brr?" Like most people don't go, yeah, I powder coat at home. So tell us a little bit about that.
It's kind of a decision that came out because I had worked with some different enclosure like manufacturers who like do the whole thing, like the drilling and then the powdering and the graphic printing all in one.
Right.
But it seemed like the weakest point of those 3 was the powder coating I was finding, like a lot of blemishes and stuff from different companies. And like I won't name any names, but yeah, it's something that was like a struggle. And
we all know. It's cool.
And I was, right. And I wanted to, I really wanted to just do it myself. I was like, I think that's something I could do. It'd be really fun. I watched YouTube tutorials online on like how to learn how to do it. And it didn't seem like overbearingly hard. Like it seemed, you know, hugely easier than like painting a guitar, like airbrushing a guitar, you know, it just seemed like a completely easier process because you ground the metal object that you're powder coating and then positively charged powder is sprayed onto it. And so the 2 attract each other and it just sticks on. So it kind of does like this almost self-leveling thing that like spray paint or airbrush paint doesn't really do.
And then you got to jump right into it. A little oven there, right? Yeah.
So I had, I still have them. I have 2 toaster ovens. Right now I have a countertop oven that's big that I use instead. Also shout outs to Grant and Karen from Big Ear Pedals for gifting me that oven.
That's cool.
Yeah. So basically you just put whatever you're powder coating in the oven after it's been coated, and the different colors of powder have different cure times depending on what they're composed of. And then basically you just pull it out and let it cool, because it does get quite hot. And then from there you can inspect your work, and if it looks good, you put it together and it's a pedal, or a pedal board, or a DL4, something like that.
That's pretty cool, man. I think the powder coating industry is going to see a strange uptick maybe after this, because we can affect things in such a huge way.
Just don't put it,
especially in the powder coating industry.
Just don't use your kitchen oven, whatever you do.
Yeah, it's actually, it is hard to keep clean. So I definitely do it in the shed. I'm doing it in the shed in the backyard. It's where I have my whole powder coating set up. But yeah, it is a bit messy. The powder is very fine, kind of gets in the air, and you want to be wearing eyewear and a respirator, definitely.
Well, you have a really fun Instagram. I will say it's very easy to get lost on that. So I encourage people to go check that out.
Thank you.
Where are you kind of going with the actual pedals that you are building, and or maybe other services you're thinking about doing?
So right now I'm kind of, the biggest project, if you will, that I'm working on is redesigning my Nano and hopefully the Virus to be a little bit easier to build, because essentially it's taking up a lot of my time, just the building, because I get the enclosures made, or I powder coat them, get them printed, they come back, and then I drill them like with a drill press, and then put components in one at a time. So I put like jacks in, and then the volume pot, and
you're
the foot
a single
switch.
man assembly line.
Yeah, exactly. I'm as a buddy Zach of mine once said. He said, he's like, you're building and selling ships in a bottle, almost. So you have to build them inside the thing slowly
because
at a time,
they're so small.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of tight tolerances.
Strategy, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, right now what's going on with AWOL pedals is I'm just trying to redesign them to be easier to build and also easier to repair for the day when I have to do repairs on them, so that I don't have to like disassemble a pedal inside of an enclosure. I can just, kind of swap it out and, put new guts in. So that's what I'm hoping to move towards, is easier production, quicker production. And that will open up my time to do more of the networking and more of going to these different events and doing giveaways and doing the, I guess, more extroverted stuff of the business. I'm trying to wear those hats more often than not,
right,
I think.
Right. That's not easy for everybody to do. All the extra stuff. It's I think fortunately we have a lot of colorful characters in the guitar world, but not everybody's cut out for that. So power to you if you can get that done.
Thank you.
With the design that we were just referencing, the teeny weeny itsy bitsy AWOL pedals. Do you think that you are locked into that form factor, or do you see yourself breaking out of that anytime?
I wouldn't consider myself locked into it. It is something that I did worry about a little bit going into it, but at the same time, I welcome that role. But I do have some larger pedal designs and stuff that I'm hoping to release and wanting to get out there too. But I think pedalboard real estate will always mean something to me, and always be, I'll always kind of see it as important, just because like so many people are traveling with smaller boards, flying with guitar gear is the way that it is, of course. And I tend to make pedals and electronics that I think are practical for like me and for everyday musicians, and what just seems to make sense. But yeah, I think I should see some full-size pedals here pretty soon.
Cool, man. Cool. How about any of the other services? Have the enclosures and powder coating world spawn any great ideas that we can see in the future?
That's a good question. I think I'm wanting to do a little bit more custom stuff again, which is an odd thing to say, because I kind of started out doing only that and then decided to brand a pedal company from there. But I kind of miss it in a sense, and I'm doing a couple different projects with some people right now and building one-off pedals and stuff for them. And I really do enjoy that because it's such a personal experience, and it's like you get to work with them one-on-one. They're like, okay, I like the Tube Screamer, but I don't like this about it, or I like this about it, and you like, for instance, and you can kind of just work with them and like, you'd be like, okay, move apart and try it. It's like, how does it sound now? And then you can kind of, it's just so much more personal, and the pedal becomes like their baby at that point. And I really like seeing that sort of joy in people, instead of just like, it's cool to just build a pedal and sell them. But I think there's so much more of an investment when they like worked on it with you. And I enjoy that quite a lot, actually.
Aside from the things that you are building and potentially, a consumer, customer coming to you for anything custom, what are you seeing right now that you're excited about, or that you are being inspired by, in your peers and in the guitar world in general right now?
Something that I really enjoy is people at the top of like your prospective industry or whatever that are willing to give away information for free, and willing to be just like good examples and give good educational content to people. The people that come to mind are like Brian Wampler and Josh Scott of Wampler Pedals and JHS Pedals, respectively. Right. They both make really great video content that isn't always necessarily about their products. It's always, a lot of times it's just answering typical pedal questions, or like delving into a topic like, what does true bypass mean? Is it actually better, or whatever? And, stuff like that, that's really giving the masses more information. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Boy, when Josh hit that YouTube and with his new video format, I mean, it's weird to think, boy, what the world really needs is a guitar-based YouTube channel. But I mean, I feel like we really did need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an utterly different perspective. In fact, we were talking to him at NAMM, and that's the thing. That's something that I targeted. I said, look, I want to get you on the show, and we are working towards that. And I think right off, he was like, oh, you want me to talk about pedals and stuff? And I'm like, but it's not about your pedals per se. And he was like, oh, okay, that's a different thing altogether. So I'm sure, obviously, we would talk about it, but I think you're keen to pick up on the other things that people are offering. Not unlike yourself, with the powder coating and customizing and stuff. That's pretty cool. Well, man, I really appreciate you sharing your story with us all and letting us kind of get to know AWOL pedals a little bit better. Please keep us informed of new stuff that you're doing. So we can share that out with our audience and everything. And we're going to proceed to a very, very special little part of our show
called Would You Rather? Wow. All right. This week's Would You Rather is quite a lengthy explanation, and I am...
And before you even start this explanation, I just want to give props to the creator of that explanation for just really embracing what we do, what Jared loves doing, and making it a really fun one.
That's right. All right. This week's Would You Rather is brought to us by CJ Mapes.
That's correct.
Awesome. This is a great Would You Rather. And I can't wait to read it to you right now, so buckle in. It's a long one. Let's say you're walking down the street eating a donut, and you happen to pass by a local concert hall when all of a sudden a manager guy with 3 fingers runs out of the venue. He sees you, and he asks, do you know how to work on guitars? The guitar tech passed out. And this 3-piece band refuses to do any of their own work on their own guitars. You say, sure, but I'm eating a donut, man. It's a donut. You don't bother me. The manager slaps the donut out of your hand.
What kind of a donut was it?
It's a Long John.
Oh.
And drags you inside. Once backstage, you see the dilemma. Okay, this is crazy now. This is where it gets juicy.
It's already not juicy.
A Rickenbacker 360 12-string with a 6-saddle bridge, also a 7-string bass that both need restrung, and the band goes on stage in 10 minutes. Oh, wow. You only have time to restring one instrument before you need to run back to the donut shop before it closes and get another Long John. Which guitar are you going to restring? The Rickenbacker 360 12, or are you going to restring that 7-string bass?
Ooh, what a question. CJ Mapes bringing the goods.
What a quandary.
They set the bar right there. Jeez Louise.
The last line is what you really need to be concerned
Yeah, you got to go get another donut. Duh.
Yeah, duh.
All right, let's hear from Tony. The Mr. Rickenbacker himself.
I am going to do the logical things, which would be to restring the bass with 4 strings and the 12-string with 6 strings. So I'm only going to change 10 strings total.
Nope, that's not the thing.
I don't care.
You got to pick one of the two.
I don't care.
You get no donut.
I don't care.
Just pick one.
Donut shop closed on you.
You know how this works?
The bass is irrelevant, so I'd restring the 12.
Jeez.
They're Dutchman.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Jared.
I'm gonna just roll the dice, do the 12-string, because a bass that doesn't need the strings changed, man.
What it does? That's the what? What don't you guys understand about the question?
A bass is a bass. You don't need to.
You have to restring it. That's the rules.
I guess if you have to, I guess. The 12-string is still extremely important, though.
And who are these prima donnas that won't change their own strings?
I don't know, but they're not going to be playing very long.
That's a lot of strings, man. 12.
Reject that.
I'll go with the 12-string.
12-string.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron. How about yourself, bud?
I'd probably restring the Rickenbacker. I like the idea of splitting them up. It's smart.
Yeah, smart, but not allowed.
Apparently not acceptable.
So would you rather, man?
Because neither one of them could play at that point.
Follow the rules.
Go ahead.
Could I get extra donuts and apologize to the bass player with donuts? Be like, hey, you're gonna have to sit this gig out, but I have donuts for you.
If you get to the donut shop on time.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the
Donut
whole
shop.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to restring the bass because it's simply less strings.
Yeah.
I think it'll be harder to do, but I do not want to attack.
You've
a
obviously
12-string.
never.
I have. I've restrung my bass a couple times.
A 12-string? You
No,
said
it's a 7-string bass.
I know, but you said it's going to be harder to do.
Just simply because it's heavier gauges strings, and it's just a little tricky.
Does it have solderless connections?
It might. It might if it has onboard electronics, but I'm not messing with that.
Hey,
You guys are a bunch of donuts yourselves.
Yes, 3 12 strings and a bass.
That's not quite a baker's dozen.
Bass.
Tony, who do we have to thank?
Oh, we have to thank some people.
We do.
My goodness. At this point in the show, we like to thank a special group of people.
That's right.
These would be our executive producers.
I love you.
And our executive producers allowed to participate in the big giveaway that Jared announced earlier.
Yep.
So anybody who is on Patreon is eligible to become a winner of pickups and or a pick guard.
Yep. 59 clones.
That's what we're going to do.
All right. So how do you become a patron of this fine organization?
Go to the
show.
thing.
You go to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs.
Yes.
On there, you will see various levels in which you can participate. Mm-hmm. And it's very cost effective, and you get some great things like T-shirts and barefoot buttons.
About the big swag package that I was doing. Yeah.
Swaggy.
So check those out.
There's
See
some
what you
serious
get.
swag.
You get stuff, man.
But as you work your way up these levels, you get a little more stuff. And when you're an executive producer, not only do you get the stuff, but Jared,
You get your name right on the thing.
and that's what I'm going to do. Let's start with Tom Barazin,
Yep.
Martin Cliff, John Daly, Sean Sheldon.
You mean Sean
Chris Kearney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Brad Partridge, Corey Nigro, Ken Sayers, Jonathan Jerusik, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Michael McVeigh, Rick Lenglou, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lanthrop, John Anglin, Tyler Bray, Tig Harmon, Chris Heidel, and John Esterly.
That's my guy.
Right on.
Thanks to each and every one of you guys.
Thank you guys so very much. You truly keep our studio rolling. It is hugely appreciated. And make sure you go. We'll have some rules and more announcements on that giveaway that we'll be doing. So let's see here. Mr. Aaron, Mr. AWOL Pedals, where can people find you?
Okay, yeah. So I have an Instagram account that's just at AWOL Pedals. My website is awolpedals.com. I believe my Twitter is also AWOL Pedals. I'm trying to think other socials. I use Facebook a little bit, and that's probably facebook.com/AWOL Pedals.
What's the easiest, quickest way for someone to get a hold of you? For your
shoot me a DM on
pedals.
Instagram, probably.
There you go.
There it is.
Instagram.
All right. And Tony?
Well, let's just say you need a special pick guard. Mm-hmm. Say you've got an anniversary coming up.
Oh, yes.
You want to show your significant other how much you love them.
Yep.
I think you should get a very special pick guard.
Probably.
From pickguardian.com.
Let's do it.
Head on over there. See some of the fun things that I've done. Mm-hmm. And, you can go over to Instagram and see some of the projects I've been talking about here. It's Pick Guardian and the number 1. And just give me, contact me through the website, Tony@pickguardian.com. Let me hear from you.
Awesome. Jared?
Get pickups.
Yep.
Jared at BrandonWallPickups.com. That's my email. Go to my website, check out what I do. I do new pickups and new pickups that look old and rewinds. Get a hold of me. BrandonWallPickups.com.
Right on. You can drop me an email, Todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me. And for all of the folks that don't know what that is, direct message me.
What's your MySpace account?
On Instagram. And we are at Guitar Knobs. And Aaron, we're just super glad that we got to talk to you, man. And
thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Guitar Knobs family. And it was really nice chatting with you. And hopefully we get to cross paths soon. Some of us will be
Some
out
of us will be at NAMM.
Summer NAMM.
I will.
Okay, cool. Yeah. We will be here.
Come see my booth.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. All right. Hey, everybody. Have an awesome guitar week ahead of you. And subscribe!
Yeah. Make the fail noise again that Tony did.
We're not.
Can I just hear it?
We're going to do this. We're wasting time.
I want to hear it before the show. This writing is so small.
It's a text.
After the show, then.
Yeah. Why?
Because I like it.
No.
It's a long john.
Oh. Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.